Let me ask you a simple question. Have you ever seen this kind of interface in any one of the platform? The answer would be yes, because most of us, whenever we are visiting any website or when you are logging into any app, they will be asking sign up with Google, sign up with Facebook, sign up with Apple. Along with this, we will be having multiple options. Apart from that, we will be having one option to create an account. Instead of only having create an account, why we are having multiple options? So in this lecture, let us understand what is the concept behind this. So we are going to understand about APIs. Here, APIs plays a very important role. Whenever you see this kind of interface, simply we will sign up with Google, but we don't know what is happening behind. So in this lecture, completely we are going to understand about APIs. We will see what are APIs and how APIs are helpful. So as usual, let us understand APIs using one simple analogy. So here I am having one vending machine. Inside this vending machine, I am having juices and beverages as well as I am having snacks. Now to get these items, we will be having button. Accordingly, we have to select the option and we are going to pay for that, and in return, we will be getting snack. So this is the complete process whenever we are accessing something from vending machine. This is the entire process we will be following. Now let us compare this with real world technology and understand API. So here our vending machine will be treated as server because inside vending machine we will be having all the resources. So whenever I am just selecting the option, in return I will be getting that resource. Similarly, in our server we will be having multiple information. Whenever we are requesting, in return we are getting response. So vending machine will be treated as server. Then comes selection panel. Here selection panel will be treated as API. API stands for Application Programming Interface. If you are going near vending machine, directly you cannot put your hand and directly you cannot access the resources present inside vending machine. You have to enter the options, only then according to that internal process will happen and you will be getting that particular snack. So API will be treated as interface, or you can just treat as a messenger. You are clicking the buttons and based on that buttons, the request is passed to vending machine. In return, we will get the snacks which we have entered. So here API will be treated as interface. Without API, directly we cannot go and we cannot access anything from vending machine. Then transaction process, once we select, we have to pay for that. So this is called as transaction process, and this is nothing but the functionality which we are not aware of. What is going on behind, how the process is going on, this is complete backend process we are not aware of. And whenever we are clicking on any one of the button, we are getting the final product. We are getting complete one final product, that is complete snack. We are not getting recipe of that, we are not getting how it is processed, we are not getting any information related to that. Only thing what we are getting is final snack, and this snack is the resources what we have requested. In return we got this response. So here, vending machines selection panel will be treated as interface between user and server, that is our vending machine. So users are the clients and server is our vending machine. Only with the help of this selection panel, we are able to interact with vending machine. Without this selection panel, we cannot interact with the vending machine and we will not be getting whatever snacks it is required. So this is the complete analogy to understand APIs. Let us see few more examples. As we have seen in our first slide, whenever we are installing or whenever we are downloading any new apps or website, we will be having that options. Sign up with Google, sign up with Facebook. So what these websites and apps will be doing, they will be having one option to create new account, but instead what they will do, whatever credentials we have used to log in using Google and Facebook, all those details will be saved in their databases. Okay, we will be having all the information available. So these new apps and websites, what they will be doing, Instead of verifying each and every user, they will be giving that option. So what they will do, they just want to access the data from Google authentication system. Suppose I just want to log in with Google. So inside this Google authentication system, they just want to access that user's data. But directly, they cannot access this Google's authentication system. In between, we will be having API. So for that API, we are going to make request, and in return, this API will be making request to this system, and if everything is correct, it is going to send the response, and that response will be given. And at the end, we are going to get final result. If we are having some error, or if the credentials are not getting matched, we will be getting access denied. That message will be sent to API, and API will be giving this message. So this is how API will be working. Whatever information systems are holding, we cannot access the system directly. In between, we are having API, and API will be treated as a messenger which will be taking a request, and that request will be sending to that system. And in return, whatever response we are getting from that system, that will be passed to API. And again, API will be treated as messenger, and that system message will be given to us. Whether it is successful or not successful, according to that, messages will be given to us. So this is the definition of API. API is nothing but it is basically a piece of software that is used by another piece of software in order to allow application to talk to each other and exchange information. Without that selection panel, directly I cannot interact with vending machine. Similar way, we are having API. Without API, directly we cannot talk to any other system and get their information. With the help of API, we can access the information and we can get that information. But when it comes to web development, we are having multiple types of APIs. We have internal APIs, we have WebSocket APIs, third-party APIs, DOM APIs, geolocation APIs. We are having different kinds of APIs. Accordingly, using that APIs, we can get that particular information. So in our last lecture, we have seen what is Ajax and how Ajax will be working. Now let us talk about one more API which we are going to use when we use Ajax. That is called as Web API. People will only call it as API, but whenever we are doing Ajax call using this Web API, we will be getting information from server. We can also build our own APIs, but for that in JavaScript we need backend programming language, that is Node.js. But from next lecture we are going to see practical examples of how to access web APIs which are already present. So we will be using third-party APIs. Third-party APIs are nothing but APIs are already built and they are stored somewhere, and using that links, whatever links they have given, accordingly we are going to access that information and we are going to display in our browser. So API is nothing but it is an application running on web server which receives requests for data, then retrieves this data from some database and then send it back to the client. Okay, this is the simple definition you have to understand. API is basically a piece of software which will be acting as an interface or messenger, and using which we can allow application to talk to each other and exchange the information. So as I mentioned, we can create our own APIs. For that, we need backend development. If you're interested to become full stack developer, then when you're learning JavaScript, you can also get started with Node.js and you can build your backend applications. Once you learn backend applications, then easily you will be able to create your own APIs. Now we are having different API formats. We have already seen about Ajax. Ajax stands for asynchronous JavaScript and XML, and in this we are having XML data format. Long back, XML was widely used to transfer data on the web, but now XML is not widely used, but Ajax got very popular back in the days, so that is the reason X stands for XML. An XML data format which is used by API is no longer used to access the data from web. So instead of using XML data format, now we are going to use JSON data format, which is widely used by each and everyone. This JSON data format is similar to JavaScript object, but it is converted into a string. So that is the reason this becomes very handy, and it is very easy to send the data across the web. So always try to use JSON data format and avoid XML data format, because it is no longer used by many of the developers. Always use JSON data format. API does not end here. We are having APIs for everything. Today, we are having API for everything. If you are building some hotel and if you want to access some hotel data, there is already API built for that. You can access the data, weather data. Instead of writing complete logic, instead of calculating weather for each and every country, you can access the API of weather and you can use in your project. Student data you can access. We are having APIs for each and everything. Okay, possibilities are endless. We are having millions of API data. Accordingly, you can use. But one thing you should remember, not all APIs are free. There are paid APIs also, which will be providing valuable information and endless information. Now, once you understood how API is used, how it is treated as a messenger, how it is interacting with server, how it is getting the message, now you should be having a question about security. So do not worry about security. Whenever we are trying to access some information from system, we will be having API keys. So whichever developer is trying to access information from system, they will be given API key that will be like a security code. Using that, they can access the data. Not everybody can access the data. Some are paid, some are free. Along with that, we will get multiple limits. Suppose we are having request limit. In a minute, we cannot send multiple requests. So there are multiple APIs which you will be seeing online. In 1 minute, you can send only 3 requests to that API. Apart from that, if you send more, you will be getting error. So we are having some limitation process. We are having monitoring security. We cannot perform illegal activities. So we are having security using API keys. So you do not have to worry if your data is getting leaked or not. It is completely secure. So not all APIs will be having API key. Some are available online which are free to use. So students can access that and they can use in their website. That's all about APIs. Next lecture, practically we are going to see how to access APIs. But whenever you are creating complex project, try to access APIs, try to get data from third party APIs and try to implement in your projects.